Things are getting crazier for the Toronto Maple Leafs as there's multiple reports coming out that changes are going to be made soon, whether they're made tonight, whether they're made tomorrow, or even if they wait until Friday. Changes are imminent. Sheldon Keefe is most likely on his way out of Toronto, and Mitch Marner's future is in jeopardy. So we're going to discuss all of that on this stream. Welcome everybody to it. Darius, hope you're doing well. There's a lot to discuss today. The Leafs, seems like changes are coming out soon. We're excited to be back on the stream today, and we're going to be doing these a lot more often, like we said, like you said at the end of your last one, because I wasn't there, but it seems like changes are coming. Will we break a change or a move live on this stream is up in the air, but it definitely seems like moves are coming for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're coming very, very fast.
Very, very quickly, and it's going to come either tomorrow or we'll get some clarity Friday about a lot of things, but I think we're going to get some news drop tomorrow because there's no chance we're going into Friday's press conference with no clarity on anything. Friday, something big is going to happen. I feel like there's going to be a bit of a curveball. Well, I mean, like, things have kind of broken down over the last couple of days, and even we've covered them, that there might not be a curveball because we're kind of in the know for what's going to happen and what might happen. We don't know for sure exactly what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be something that a lot of people are not going to be happy with, to be honest. I think that's what I'm siding with now, and I've had a chance to listen to some stuff and what Elliot Friedman said, for example, and Nick Kyprios and all those guys, all the insiders, and I'm starting to think that the answers we're going to get Friday is not 100% what we want to hear, and nothing ever really is with the Toronto Maple Leafs, let's be honest, but it's leaning towards what a lot of people think is nightmare fuel instead of clarity and moving forward off of some guys.
Yeah, and obviously on Friday we'll know. I don't want to say we'll know for sure because they still could kind of do things weirdly and do whatever they want to, but things are definitely going to change in some ways. And I guess the nightmare scenario here is that they kind of just make minimal changes to the coaching staff. And I was watching a thing earlier that kind of highlighted that, which we'll get into in a second. So people in the chat saying hope changes happening during the show. That would be,
Same.
yeah, that would be, if we get a Sheldon Keefe firing during this stream, that would be, I mean, I guess, depending on if you're a fan of Sheldon Keefe, a dream scenario. But I was watching I forget who it was. I don't know if it may have been Darren Dreger, or maybe, I think it was Paul Bissonnette, actually. He basically said the worst case scenario for Leafs fans is that they bring in Craig Berube hoping that he unlocks Mitch Marner because Mitch Marner doesn't want to waive his no-move clause, and then Mitch Marner leaves after next year because obviously the Leafs don't want to tie up more cap to him, and then it's just another year wasted of the core four. And that is kind of the worst case scenario for the Leafs right now, and it's one that is very possible, although I think, and I'd like to hope, that they're maybe going to be a bit better than that.
That was Bissonnette, by the way. I did see that video too, and I honestly, like, I tend to agree with Bissonnette on some things. Like, I'm not 100% a Paul Bissonnette guy, or whatever that means, or not everything he says I agree with, but everything he said in that video, I was like, damn, man, that is exactly how I'm feeling about the situation anyway. I know, and not everyone feels the exact same as I feel, or you can't speak for the entire fan base. Like, there's certain people that still want them to run it back. I don't know what that's about, but everything he said in that video, and he just posted it, I think, like an hour or two ago, is on point. And I think, like, if we want to jump into the Marner stuff too, because he seems like he's the odd man out, and just based on contract structure and salary and all that. But if you want to move on from him, it's not going to be through free agency next year where you just let him walk. You can't let a guy of that caliber player walk. Like, that's not the solution either. Although cap space, you're not going to get back exactly his skill level, I think. Like, you're probably going to lose the trade, quote unquote, but you can't let him walk to free agency. Like, you got to get something back from him, and I think it'll make the team better anyway. Like, even if it's not skill for skill, like, it's still going to make the team better because your most valuable asset in the NHL today, right now, is cap space. And if you move on from Mitch Marner, you acquire some of that. And even after next season, Tavares anyway, like, Tavares is not going anywhere either. And once you move on, or not move on from Tavares, but once his current contract's up, then you free up a lot of money as well. Because even if he does come back, it's going to be significantly less salary. There's no way he's going to make even close to what he's making now.
Yeah, and Craig Harrison said Marner for Larson and Shane Wright, $7 million in cap space. We can get into some mock trades later as well. One question I want to ask the chat if you're in here. Shout out to the 60 that are in here. I hit the like button as well. Just type in yes or no. Do you want Sheldon Keefe fired? I'm just curious to see what everyone's sentiment is on Sheldon Keefe. That's a mean way to say it. Do you want Sheldon? Actually, I have to stick with that now, because otherwise, yes or no.
Move on from Sheldon?
Yeah, should we move on from Sheldon Keefe? Should the Toronto Maple Leafs move on from Sheldon Keefe? Yes or no in the chat. I'm curious to see what most of you think. Marner for Keller. Yeah, Keller has been a guy
that floated around.
Yeah, I did.
Can I throw something out there,
sure,
Nick, that I've sat on for the last day or two, and I haven't really seen this anywhere. I just thought about it. Right? Because, well, based on like a mock trade I did see, but I'm making my own assumptions out of it. You trade Marner. Now, listen, this is a dream scenario, because I don't think he even accepts a trade to this certain team. But anyway, dream scenario. But if you were to get it to work, you trade Marner to Calgary, you get your goaltender in Markstrom, and you get Rasmus Anderson. He adds scoring on the back end, and he's really not a bad defender. I love Rasmus Anderson. So I think that would be that. Again, that's just like fairy tale trades there. Like, I don't know if that would actually, there's no way Marner has Calgary even close to like a top 5 or anything like that. So I doubt that happens, but that'd be great. That'd be great.
Everyone said yes, by the way. Craig, Daryl, everyone's saying yes. Someone said no because there's no one better available. No, I want this playoff run to continue. That's an interesting one. The one about better available is interesting, and that is the question now. We saw Ottawa get their goalie. I didn't want the Leafs to get him anyway, but they signed him to a 4-year deal. You think now Craig Berube is a candidate? I wonder if they look. I highly doubt it. But I was seeing some things about maybe looking into Bruce Boudreau, not as the head coach necessarily, but as the power play
assistant coach
or a power play guy to replace Guy Boucher. So that could work out. He is like 70 years old, but
he also openly, by the way, is like, I want to work for the Leafs.
He does.
I don't want to work anywhere else but for the Leafs, and for some reason, it's not happening. The Leafs have like 17 coaches, by the way. It's not just the guys on the bench. They have like video coaches. They have power play like a bunch of coaches behind the scenes, and this guy is not employed by the Leafs yet. I don't understand what that is. He is a little older, I get that, but he's basically come out at this point and is like, I don't want to work anywhere except for Toronto. So I don't know. Make that happen, please.
Yeah, leave. And that's the question. I'll ask this question to the chat again, or a different question now. If you do want Sheldon Keefe gone, which most of us agree with, who do you want them to replace him with? I mean, I guess the options, you can probably know some more as well, Darius. I mean, Craig Berube is probably the one that's getting the most traction. I mean, there's some other ones available.
Here's the thing, too. Like, I saw it in a comment like a couple of minutes ago, and I wanted to get to it. Rod Brind'Amour, like in a perfect world, yes, maybe he does want to come to Toronto, and he'd be a great fit. I think he's a great coach, fantastic coach. What he's been able to do at Carolina is great. The question is, does he even want to come to Toronto? And then, do you want to wait for him? Because Craig Berube is going to get swooped up here real quick.
Devils, maybe.
By the Devils. Yeah, like it's going to happen real quick in the next couple of days. So if Berube is not announced in the next couple of days by the Leafs, he's going to the Devils. Like, it's almost a done deal.
There's some Brind'Amours in the chat.
Yeah, and I love Brind'Amour, but he's in the playoffs, right? And the whole thing is money with him in Carolina too. He doesn't even want to leave. It's just he wants his staff and him to be paid and compensated properly, and it doesn't sound like that is a thing that might happen. So the question is, does he even want to go to Toronto? And you can't have those conversations with him yet because he's still coaching the Carolina Hurricanes, and they're in the middle of a playoff series here, and they're a very good team. So that would be best case scenario. I think Rod Brind'Amour is the best coach, quote unquote, available, because he's not available yet, but it sounds like that might be a thing that happens. I like Craig Berube too, although the thing with Berube, I said he was a Leaf. He's obviously won a Stanley Cup, but outside of that, like,
he lost a lot of round ones.
Yeah, like very similar to the Leafs. So
too.
I don't know. I think he's a great motivator, which is what the Leafs need now, I think, right? Like, you go through different times with different coaches as a team and with this core and stuff. I think they need a motivator, more like a Craig Berube now. I'm not saying 100% get him, but I don't know. It's an interesting question. Is there anything actually better than Keefe out there? Keefe makes some puzzling decisions, but so do other coaches. So I'm sure it's something they discussed today, for sure.
Yeah, and everyone in the chat's kind of saying Berube or Brind'Amour. I mean, obviously Brind'Amour would be the preferred guy. Yeah, I mean, that's the issue. And I mean, I think they do move on from Keefe just to get a new face in the locker room and get all these guys. But again, if they think, and just like, who was it there? Or just like G-Hawk said, he said, Berube, let's see if the core can improve the no-nonsense coach. That's kind of the worry now, is that if Shanahan and, Keith Pelly, all these guys, and Brad Living especially, think, okay, let's just give them a veteran coach and see if the core four will work out with the exact same team. And maybe it does. I mean, maybe there's a chance that it does work out. But, I mean, you can let me know in the chat if you agree. Like, if we're talking about moving on, let's say hypothetically we get Craig Berube, Do you want them to try to run it back with the same core four, or do you want them to actually make more than just a coach? Because personally, I want to see. I mean, obviously, Keefe. Move on from Keefe. He'll probably find a job elsewhere pretty quickly. You bring in whoever your next coach is. I'm sure it'll be fine. But then they need to make some other changes. And I think, if Mitch Marner doesn't waive his no move clause, then none of this really matters. We're gonna have to run back with the same coach. So I'm curious to see what people in the chat think about that. But Darius, I mean, I don't want them to just move on from the coach and say, okay, this is good. They'll be good now.
After sitting on it for a couple of days now, because we've been talking about this like crazy the last couple of days, because obviously it's been headlines and stuff. Do you want to know what I think is going to happen or what I want to happen? Because I think those are two very different things.
Both.
Because what I want to happen is, now that I know it's an option, Shanahan can stay in the organization, but do not touch anything that has to do with on-ice product. Get out of that. All right? You're not allowed to do that anymore. Get out of here. We know how that worked with Dubas. Not well, and it hasn't worked that well. You have to trade Marner. You have to go to Marner and be like, give us 5 teams now, or you're sitting. That's it. Like, we're here now. It's over. It's over. We've given you the shot, and every opportunity we gave you, nothing happened. And then the last 3 seasons, it's been, here's your last shot. Come on, do something. Doesn't do it. So it's over. So I would want that to happen too. Move on from that player, and you got to move on from the coach. He made so many puzzling decisions this year that the whole coaching staff, they all have to go. What I think is going to happen, you replace the coach, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the worry. That's what it seems like could happen. But I do think they're going to explore trades for Mitch Marner. Someone said trade Marner and Riley. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, the issue if you trade Riley, your defense gets even worse. And there's no... I mean, they trade Marner for a right-handed shot defenseman, hopefully. I mean, what's everybody's ideal world here? They trade Marner for a right-handed shot defenseman. You replace Keefe with, I guess, Brindamore or Berube.
Berube, yeah.
Even though Berube brings some of the same issues that Keefe does, just he is a bit, I would say, harder on the players, would be a new face, all this stuff. Berube missed the playoffs the last 2 years he coached. Keefe has the best record over the first 300 games versus any Leaf. Maybe it was a Dubas thing and Treliving needs a revamp. That's possible too. That's
also possible. This isn't even Treliving's team yet, really, because at the time frame he was hired last year, he does not have his fingerprints on his team.
And his additions were fine.
Yeah, they worked out well for the most part. Like, Klingberg was an absolute disaster. But
you're
going to miss on some. You're going to miss on some. It's going to happen. I thought the people he did bring in actually made a big difference. So
Riley is getting paid as a number one. He is not that. He's in a part of the Leafs, or all of the Leafs collapses and bend his own end, and Marner should be easy decisions. Debatably.
Can I just say before Game 7, there was no Riley slander whatsoever, and all of a sudden the last few, because he messed up on that one play, it's as if all of a sudden he's a liability. I don't believe that for 1 second. He is he makes less than Darnell Nurse. Would you rather him or Darnell Nurse? It's Morgan Riley's better. Like, I don't understand the Morgan Riley slander. He was one of the only guys that took accountability at Locker Cleanout Day too. Like, one of 3 that actually said we were terrible, right? The rest were like, give us another shot. The whole, the thing that they do every year.
I'm not a huge Riley guy personally, but he does have value. He does have value to.
He has value. I think everyone's being a little too hard on him because of the one mistake. It was a terrible mistake, yes, but I think he is a good player still. Come on, and for the cap hit he makes, I think.
I just don't think. I don't think they're gonna move him. I don't think you'd get adequate value either. Riley's bad.
Definitely not.
He was decent in the regular season. I mean, his issue has been defense a little bit. His issue has been defense. Blake Sim.
Wow, thank you.
We got the animation. Thank you so much, Blake. Blake is back. Blake has dropped bombs. Hi, I am back. How you guys doing? Can we have the Keith animation? And everybody hit the subscribe button and like the stream. What Keith animation am I missing?
The new one.
Oh, the Keith.
So long, Keith. Yeah.
Got it. I thought you meant Keith. Okay, I don't know why. I was wondering who Keith was. Okay, I got you. Since we're all just bashing Keith here, I'll play it for you. There it is. So long, Keith. It's very possible he's on his way out of Toronto. And he will find a job elsewhere, just to be clear.
He'll probably win the Stanley Cup elsewhere.
That's scary. Riley's great, but he's not the quarterback they need. I like Riley. He needs help. Yeah, we need better defense. He's also playing so many minutes a game. We need to remember.
Klingberg was supposed to be that guy.
Who?
That's Klingberg. That's kind of what fell apart this year. Like, he was supposed to be the quarterback on the power play, for example. Riley needs Riley is playing with Ilya Labushkin.
Thanks
Can
again,
we
Blake.
address that?
Yeah.
Yeah, also Blake, thank you so much. He's playing with Ilya Labushkin. This guy needs a better player to play with. So That's all I got to say about that. I think
Yeah, I mean, Lyubushkin was
like,
the right side defense. I mean, there's a lot of things. Goaltending is another minor issue, but I mean that can, in theory, be fixed. But I mean, I don't know how much you can trust. I mean, like, there's a lot of holes on this team, and it's a little bit scary now that you think about it. You have goaltending, which is an issue. I mean, whether or not Wall is the future, we don't know. Dennis Hildeby, you can't really rely on him yet. I mean, I'm sure he'll be great in a year or two. Maybe he gets a start next year. Maybe he backs up next year. Like, are they going to run with Wall and Hildeby next year? I doubt it. But then what do they do? Wall, Martin, Jones? Maybe they bring Jones back. You look at the pending. I think I still have the screenshot here. I don't. It's from the other video. But there's a you can look at like the pending RFAs and UFAs. You're going to bring back restricted free agents, Connor Dewar, Nick Robertson. Those guys. You want to bring back Dewar. I think we'd all agree in the chat, correct? Dewar. We want Dewar back.
I like the
yes.
Dewar. I thought he served a purpose. Yeah.
Great pickup by Treliving. I think we'd. And I'll get into these screenshots in a minute. We can go over some of the reports that hit my leg. Reports that come out. But if you get a true number one D, Riley ends up with way less pressure. Yeah, they do need. I think they still need a number one guy, or at least a guy to help Riley on Riley's level, and that's what they're gonna hope to get for Marner. And then with Marner, they move on to get. So if you trade Marner, you get a right-handed shot defenseman, and then cap space in theory, depending who the players you get are. I don't know, Darius. I'm gonna ask you, what would your ideal Mitch Marner hypothetical return be? In chat, you can also let us know. What is your Mitch Marner return hypothetical chat? And make sure to hit the like button on the stream if you're enjoying. Let's get to 35 likes. Shout out to the 200 in here, by the way.
Yeah, thanks guys. By the way, thanks for tuning in. Ideal Mitch Marner trade. Here's the thing with Mitch, like the mock trades. We need to know his list. Like we need to know. First of all, like, sorry for the political answer, but we need to know, first of all,
PR training too much.
Seriously, if the Leafs are going to move on from him, then we need to know what his list of team is.
Let's just assume he has a no move clause, just for the sake of this exercise.
Oh, okay. Then let's imagine it's last year when they should have traded him.
Correct.
Great. Okay, so I would trade him to the Calgary Flames for Rasmus Anderson, a goalie, and a pick. That's what I would do. I think that's the best fit. You have Anderson and Riley playing together. You wouldn't even have to do that, right? You could still mix and match. I think that just makes your defense way better. Maybe you even get another defenseman out of Calgary because Mitch Marner has a lot of value. Like, a lot of people are downplaying it. Regular season, he's great. Like, he would do a lot for another team. It's just not working. The structure in Toronto is not working. So that would be my trade. I really like Rasmus Anderson. If you can get a goalie, even Markstrom. I know he's older, but just a stopgap. Like a Jake Allen type thing in Montreal, where then you usher in the new guy, like Hildeby in a few years, right? I would do something like that. But that isn't a perfect world. So something like that. Like, you need a right shot defenseman and like a couple players or whatever, free up that salary. You just need to move on from that contract. I think there's just, I don't think you can move forward with that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we assume his value is pretty high. We really don't know though. I mean, because his value can plummet if he chooses two teams, because then it's just going to be those two teams against themselves. Which is when the worries kind of start. Another rumor, Shanahan could be gone, president position removed. We'll know about that Friday, I assume.
Hold on, can I interrupt for a second? Because something just came to mind, too. Treliving was the GM of Calgary when Matthew Tkachuk put them in a corner and said, trade me to Florida, right? And he made a pretty, like, considering, I know it didn't work out for Huberdeau or whatever, considering the position he was put in, I thought he made a good trade at the time. So I wonder if there's a situation like that. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No, yeah. That was good. Someone said a top D, reliable goalie, and draft picks. That's what it seems like. But I don't know if you're... Yeah. Like, the issue is goalies are so... I guess a reliable goalie, like, someone who can... Like, do we believe in Wall to be our everyday starter? Like, in theory, yes, when he's healthy, but he has yet to... Really is yet to prove that he can, A, stay healthy, and B, be an elite goalie when he's healthy. He had the little spurt last year. He had the spurt in the playoffs this year. But in the regular season, he was pretty bad, which is why Samsonov started the first two games of the series. So it's like... The Leafs aren't going to win a Mitch Marner deal right now, at least at face value. They're going to get the cap space, which, again, you mentioned it. That's like the biggest thing is cap space and just giving a big shakeup to the core. If you can get a goaltender that can start every day, I don't know who. Like, I guess Markstrom. I don't know who else would be available.
Here's the thing. Markstrom would be great, but again, I just don't think Marner's going to want to go to Calgary, for example. But here's the thing. I think, like, goaltending is changing in the NHL. I think they're going to end up having to get three guys again, and I feel like they're all going to be mid. And Joseph Woll, who's been very good when not injured, and I think he'll be better next year. The other thing about Woll is not that he's like injury prone, but that's a thing you got to look at now, because he has gotten injured a little bit here down the stretch, and like a huge game 7 that you need him for, and he can't play, right? And I'm not saying it's his fault, but that's a thing you have to look at too, right? Can he be relied upon, not just based on skill? So
I have a proposition.
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I asked you this earlier. I'm just going to ask the chat this as well. Yeah, in an imaginary world, because it wouldn't happen like this, I don't think. Mitch Marner for UC Saros, just 1-for-1. Just straight up, 1-for-1. Yes or no in the chat, would you do that if you're the Leafs? So you're getting UC Saros, who honestly was pretty bad in the playoffs this year. I think a 900 save percentage or something. Just straight up 1-for-1 UC Saros for Wall. I'm not exactly sure about UC Saros' contract right now. I think he's under contract, but I don't know how many years.
He definitely is.
I think it's a few years. But would you guys do that, yes or no? Saros for Mitch Marner, 1-for-1. You get the goalie position locked up. It's just 1-for-1, though. Because that's a tough one. Saros is a very good goalie.
He's signed till the end of next year, so that actually works out pretty decent for the Leafs. Like, that wouldn't be bad. 1-for-1, if I'm the Leafs.
Seems a bit low, but it's a goalie.
Here's the thing. I think if you're the Leafs, you can get more. Like, goaltenders are really highly touted. I think for Marner, you can get more. I think you can look at like Phil Tomasino too. Get like another great player out of maybe not a defenseman, because I don't think Nashville is going to move on from a defenseman. But maybe not 1-for-1. But if you add a few more pieces in, like, I would look at that. That really helps the goaltending problem. Frees up a lot of salary. 2 birds, 1 stone. It's not bad. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying yes or no. It's honestly kind of 50-50. 1-for-1 with the cap space.
That's the thing, right?
That's like, you retain salary. Nashville retain, I guess, Olive or something like that, or something crazy. Like, you could
maybe you can make it work.
I highly doubt that trade would happen, because that just seems like a crazy. But I mean, it would make sense for Nashville. They'd lock up their forward of the future, and then they move on from. I mean, I don't know what their goalie situation is looking like over there without UC Saros, but I'm sure they could figure something out, because they're gonna have to pay UC Saros at the end of next year.
They have a really good prospect coming up too, so I think it's something Nashville would look at, because they're not there yet. Like, obviously they made the playoffs this year. They had a good little run, and I thought they were the better team against the Canucks. That's a different story, but they have a nice little prospect coming up too. So I think they're not worried. I think they might even be open to trading him. So it's not a bad proposition there. It's just, will Marner want to go to Nashville? The whole problem with this is they should have moved on from this model last year when they had the flexibility to. They've really put it, and I say they, and it's Shanahan who made the decision. They put themselves in a hole here, man.
Very big hole. I think you're going to start building talent within draft picks in our organization. We got to start buying short-term band-aids. I mean, there is some. There's Dennis Hildeby. There's obviously Easton Cowan, who's like turning into one of the best prospects in the entire league. And then you have Fraser Minton. You have Aberziz. You have a few guys that are in the pipeline. Most exciting one probably is Easton Cowan, and I guess Dennis Hildeby, depending how you think about goaltending. But yeah, I mean, the cap, Nylander's cap hit's going up. Yeah, the cap is raising itself too. Sarah's 1 year, $5 million.
The cap going up literally covers Nylander's raise. Like, that's it. And then the other contracts you have coming off, like, you got to figure that out. But you got to re-sign guys like Domi, right? I have a suspicion, like, to go so far into next year, like, Cowan's going to make the team just because I think he might even be ready already. You took the Mitch Marner route. He went back 1 year. He won the MVP. He might even win the Memorial Cup like Marner. He might follow him to a T. They're in the OHL final right now. But I think he might even make the team just out of necessity too, because of cap hit. Like, he's going to make minimum, right? So I wonder if he makes the team too. He's another guy. But again, like, yes, I think they're building up through prospects. They have a pretty good pool. But Matthew Nyes, but he's already arrived. Yeah. Right. I feel like. But some of their prospects are a little ways away still. I think that's the problem. You do need to fill in positions like goaltender, like stopgaps. Like, I keep using Jake Allen as an example. What Montreal did with that specifically was really genius. So I think you got to fill in some gaps here.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps to fill in. The Habs are going to win the Cup this year. That's a crazy take. They might make the playoffs.
Next year?
Maybe. It'd be a long shot, but it's possible.
They're a little ways away.
It's definitely yeah, I think so too. Let's get into some of the things we saw here today. In case you missed it, you check out our video from earlier. But like, it's basically just saying that stuff is going to happen. It's going to happen very, very fast. Wednesday is an important day, which was today. So essentially, Freeman is saying, I mean, it's probably over now. I'm sure they're still having the conversations. They probably know if Sheldon Keefe is going and leaving. They might even know their next head coach, at least lead candidate and things like that. But we'll probably know tomorrow. If Keefe gets fired, if Keefe is on his way out, like the animation says, it'll be tomorrow that we'll probably find out regarding, again, the head coaching position. Which is why tomorrow's going to be a big day. And then Friday, obviously, I mean, I don't know what we all expect Shanahan to say, or Keith Pelly, but I feel like it's going to be a bit of an interesting one.
I feel like it's going to be what's the word I want to use here? Like nuclear because for all the wrong reasons. Like nothing's gonna happen, and then all the press conference is gonna end, and the fans are gonna be like, "What did I just watch?" Like I feel like I've just been bamboozled. So I feel like it's heading that way. And put it this way too, like we talked about it earlier, and I don't know if you agree with me, Nick, but if you do not hear we have relieved Sheldon Keefe of his duties tomorrow by like 7 p.m., he's coming back next year.
That's Darius's prediction.
That's my like if you do not hear it tomorrow, like he's coming back next year. Just be prepared for that because there is absolutely 0% chance they go to the press conference Friday like with their hands up in the air like, we haven't made a decision yet. Like, what do you mean, man? What are you talking about?
Yeah, they delayed it as well. They they delayed it on Friday to feel this. Jeff saying you guys are Leafs fans laughing at other teams. I wasn't laughing at I was just saying that the Habs winning the Cup next year is very unlikely. Very, very, very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
They have some good prospects.
Utah will win the Cup.
Well, by Keith, it was nice not to be punished. Shane, what's up, Shane? What do you think of the conspiracy theory Matthews and Nylander are going to ask to be traded if Marner is forced out? There's no. There's no way. They have so many years. So. I mean, that would be. I mean, I don't even want to.
That's absurd, and I don't get that vibe from them, and I haven't seen anything that would.
They are close, but like I don't think they're. You're gonna. No, it's business. It's business.
No,
it's business.
No, and business is business. Yeah, I think they're friends, but as you've seen, like other players are friends, and those players move on, right? It's a business at the end of the day, really. So I don't think that's the case. I don't get that vibe from them either. And I mean, like Nylander was yelling at Marner in Game 4, I think. So not saying like they're enemies or anything. I'm sure they're friends, right? But at the same time, business is business, and if they got to move on, then they're still going to fulfill their contracts.
I want Joel Quenneville as the next head coach. So a couple people say that. It's an interesting one. Better to let him walk, otherwise value for value unattainable. 11 million cap space. It's a lot of cap. That's a lot of cap space. I mean,
you have to ask him. You have to tell his agent, give us 3 teams, 3 to 5 teams. That's the next step. You have to do that, and then work your way around it. I just think that's it.
Just busting it. New sub. Thank you, Jeff, for subscribing. Yeah, I know. Ladies and gentlemen, Marner is out. Yeah. If Marner agrees to take a cut to $8 million, do you keep him? I mean, that's an interesting question.
That won't happen. He's asking.
Hypothetical.
He's gonna get. It won't. Well, hypothetically, sure. No,
$8 million is cheap.
$8 million would be cheap, but that's the thing, right? Because like when he signed his deal originally, right after him, Braden Point signed his deal for $9 million, right? And you're looking at that. Like I was looking at that. Like it's the same player. Well, not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same player. So why is one making $3 million more? It didn't make sense to me. So an $8 million, like maybe it does free up a lot of cap, but I feel like that's still $8 million towards a player that scored 3 points in 7 games.
He does want to stay in Toronto, but I don't know if he wants to stay for, $20 million cheaper when you look at the whole thing. Are you doing a vid on Marner comparable trades? Yes, sir, Shane. Yes.
At some point.
We definitely are. Probably soon. It depends. Yeah. There's so much news. Maybe Thursday, either tomorrow or probably Saturday. It depends how Friday's meeting goes.
Can I throw a question out to the chat? Because this is something that was
Let's do it.
That came up today on Twitter as well. Was Matthews snubbed of the Hart? Because I'm starting to think he was. And that was it's a conversation on Twitter today. So I just wanted to see everyone's opinions. Was he snubbed of a Hart nomination at least? I'm not saying win the thing again. There was a lot of really good players this year, but was he snubbed of a Hart nomination? I think so, because he was very good this year.
He was very good. Eli Buchanan is way better than Riley. That's good. I love what you guys got going for us whiny Leafs fans. Yeah, I mean, it was a...
Buchanan is a better right-handed defenseman than Riley is.
That's a good way to put it. Maybe that's what he meant. Thank you, Ryan. You love what you're doing for us whiny Leafs fans. I mean, this is like the worst time to be a Leafs fan in a while. I mean, it's the same core four since 2018. They still didn't win. I mean, thought there was some positive progress after last year with Samsonov masterclass against the Lightning winning in 6, but then it just kind of collapsed this year and we almost won. Definitely deserve a nomination. Domi replaced Marner seamlessly when Marner was hurt. He's replaceable. That is possible. I've seen some things on Twitter saying like if they bring back Domi, or maybe it was Bertuzzi, either one. I think it was if they bring back Bertuzzi, Marner's probably... I think it was Bertuzzi, because that makes more sense. If they bring back Bertuzzi, Marner's gone, and vice versa. If they don't bring back Bertuzzi, then they'll probably keep Marner, which in theory makes sense. But I also like to think that they might be exploring some other options.
I do worry about the regular season sometimes. Like if you were to keep Bertuzzi and trade Marner, like you're giving up a lot of scoring. But I think if you're able to Like they need more scoring from the back end too. That's the thing. They need better. They need help in the back end in terms of offensive now, which is crazy because it was the opposite forever. But yeah, I just wonder about the regular season now too. Like you have to get to the playoffs too. Not that that's going to be an issue. They'll probably do that, but
It could be an issue.
it could be. That's the thing, right? The East and the Atlantic specifically is very good. So I don't know what to make of that.
They played better without Matthews. Matthews got nominated for the Ted Lindsay, so it is weird he didn't get nominated for the Hart. Usually players get nominated for both. Yeah, I was worried he didn't get a nomination. Do you guys think Kane goes to Chicago, goes back to Chicago this year to play with Bedard? That'd be maybe.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Go from Detroit to Chicago.
Matthew, yeah, the thing with just to clean up the Matthews thing. So he got nominated for the Ted Lindsay, which is like basically the MVP, but voted on by players. And the Hart is like the MVP voted on by media members and stuff like that. And then he got voted for the Selke too, which is the defensive award. So take this in. He was voted, he was nominated as the MVP or most valuable player by the players. And then he was nominated to be one of the top 3 defensive players in the league. And he scored 69 goals, and he was not nominated for the MVP, the Hart. It's weird. It's weird to me.
It's crazy.
It's a little crazy.
We got to keep Benoit really impressive. Benoit's locked up for the next 2 years, sir. We are on the train. The train is gone. The train has left the station, but he is locked up. That was a take of mine and you that aged well. We said that at the start of the year, yes. And now he is going to be an integral part. And he looked great in the playoffs, and him and Jake McCabe are a great pairing together. So we love to see that.
It's actually a little shocking how good he was. Like it's a little concerning. Like it's a
little concerning. The Ducks. That's what happens when you're the Anaheim Ducks, though.
Well, look what happened to Lyubushkin too, because we were talking about that at the trade deadline. I remember you pulled up his chart, and we're like, "Yikes!"
1% more. Okay. Blake, another dono, killing it. Thank you so much, Blake. Who do you think is winning the cup this year? Oh Lord, hold on. Ooh, Super chat this year. That's a good question.
Nick, I would like you to go first.
Okay,
I might be shocking.
I'm gonna go with. And leave everyone in the chat. Leave their predictions. I know the Leafs are out. We can just watch it while having fun. Yeah. I'm going to go with the New York Rangers this year.
I really do like the Rangers, and I've been watching the Rangers for a very long time in the playoffs when the Leafs weren't in the playoffs.
Stin is too good.
Right? I like So Rangers are good. I'm going to go with Dallas this year. Something about they seem boring enough that, it's never the team you really think, right?
Choked a 3-0 lead, Darius, in game 1.
Game one, Nick. It's only game 1.
People saying the Avs. Panthers. A lot of people are saying the Avs.
Avs look good, really good as well. Yeah. Avs have a great team. Their mentality's there, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, it could be the Avs, it could be Edmonton, it could be Rangers, it could be any of the teams that are left. Besides, I don't really have too much faith in the Hurricanes, but besides them,
not at this point. The Hurricanes for me are a very interesting topic. Like they just don't have any superstars,
which is why we'll steal their goalie. Someone in the chat. Where was it?
Well, we had their goalie.
Would you trade? Well, yeah. Would you trade for Hellebuck? Yes, but he's not going to be available.
Absolutely,
but
that
won't happen. The Jets signed him to 8 years, along with Scheifele. He's staying put, and he was awful in the playoffs this year, and awful in the playoffs last year, and awful in the playoffs the year before. So they're not going to trade for him, and he would take a King's rent. It doesn't make any sense for the Jets to move on from Connor Hellebuck unless they fully blow it up, but they're not going to do that because they have everyone locked up. I want Edmonton to win, David. Yeah, Edmonton could win it.
Edmonton could win it too. They look very good. Zach Hyman looks unstoppable.
I didn't mention the Bruins either. I don't think they're going to win the cup, but they did. They were doing good stuff.
Well, here's the thing. Can we? Jeez, every team that beats the Leafs goes to the final, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Bruins go to the final this year. Because every team that beats the Leafs, so last year they lost to the Panthers. They went to the finals. The year before that they lost to Tampa. They went to the finals. The year before that they lost to Montreal. They went to the finals. The year before that they lost to Columbus. It was COVID, whatever.
Yeah.
The year before that, they lost to the Bruins, went to the final. And then the year before that, they lost to the Bruins, who lost in the second round. Okay, that's a long streak, all right? It's a good track record. You beat the Leafs, you go to the final. You
won game 1. They crushed them.
That's right.
Panthers could win, too. I don't know. Yeah, I would call Nashville's goal. Yeah, we discussed that earlier in the stream. UC Saros could be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Would you trade for Marc-Andre Fleury?
I would have 3 years ago.
Yeah, the corpse of Marc-Andre Fleury is probably not doing much.
There's a rumor, and it blows my mind now. There's a rumor. I don't know if it's been debunked or anything, but I'll throw it out there anyway. So just bear with me. It's speculation maybe. But I think it was the 2022 trade deadline before Tampa. before Tampa got Brandon Hagel, apparently Dubas wanted to trade for Brandon Hagel from Chicago and Marc-Andre Fleury, which would have fixed your depth scoring and would have fixed your, although the team, I'm not sure, was built at that time to win anyway, but would have fixed your depth scoring even now and would have fixed your goaltending issue. That was 2 years ago. The story goes that Shanahan said no. And here we are. And I feel like that would have solved a few issues, but here we are. Again, that's just speculation. I've heard that. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but that's an interesting story. Brendan Hagel on the Leafs.
Probably. He probably is
most
going to
likely
be fired tomorrow. Yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
If Wall can prove
Although if you don't hear it tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you don't hear it tomorrow, then I'm not sure that's the case.
Wall isn't top liver when he's healthy. He's elite. Yeah, like we were saying earlier, it's just a matter of he's injury prone now a little bit, and during the regular season he was rough. During the playoffs he was elite this year, and then last year he was pretty good too. Tomorrow's the day of change. I have a feeling, and it's not diarrhea. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, it might be diarrhea if they keep Sheldon Keefe on the team or on. I feel like a Sheldon Keefe hater. It's not even that. I just want to see change because if we don't, then it's going to be over. Things are going to just... If we have to run it back with the same core and the same coach, I don't know what on earth I'm going to do. And then watch them run it back the same way and they go on and make the Stanley Cup Finals next year in Leafs in somehow like weird Leafs fashion.
But they won't. They won't. Like they have no... They scored one power play goal against the Bruins. There's no reason. And like somebody... I saw a comment too on one of our videos that was like, what do you mean the Bruins should have won? They were higher in the standings. No, man. On paper, like the Leafs should have beat the Bruins. They should have beaten the Bruins. They had every opportunity to. If they scored on 25% of their power plays, they would have beat the Bruins. They didn't. And you get 3 points out of guys who make $11 million and guys are injured, right? And that's the other thing, right, that nobody talks about. If one of your $12 million players or whatever goes out injured, who's going to replace him? A guy from the Marlies? It doesn't make sense. The model doesn't make sense. So if they run it back, I think that would be shocking. Like the fans would, like, I don't know. I've been critical of the Leafs because when I was growing up, the Leafs made decisions based on what the media said. I feel like that was the case, right? And then oftentimes you get burnt, right? So I feel like they moved away from that and they're more like process driven, which is okay. And they take their time making decisions and really think it out. And I think that's a good thing. Even today, they took an extra day. They moved the press conference to Friday. This is a good thing. They're sitting on their decisions. Good. But if they go into next, we have a sample size that says it does not work objectively. Like even management has to look at it and be like, okay, we got to do something here.
Yeah. I think I read that same article you did, Darius. I do think the return though was like Nyes and a first, which was for
right, which hurts, yes. But think about it. Last year, I feel like you could have done some damage.
Yeah,
I don't know if you had goaltending and like, but you know what? I think it's still a culture issue, and the way the team is.
I think I'm happy that one was probably declined because I don't think they would have won anyway. Just with their and I'd rather
no, and I'm sure they knew. I'm sure they had an idea of what they had.
And Cowan, right? So it probably turned to Cowan. So yeah, it would have been hefty.
Oh wow, yeah. It wouldn't have been. Cowan was a trade that they recouped from Washington.
Okay, whatever the first round pick was last year,
fine.
plus plus
the Sandin trade got us Easton Cowan, which is a good trade. I think one of Dubas's last trades, so that wasn't bad. That was a
decent trade.
Yeah,
Nyes might be the future captain. Can't trade him. At least you need a defenseman like a young Scott Stevens type. I think Stamkos would take a 1 year for 1 year $5 million to play in the back. I'm not sure. I'd love it.
But that'd be great in a perfect world too. But
he could. Also, let's hit the like button. Let's get to 70 likes. If you're watching right now, and if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button because we're on the road to 9,000. Shout out to the 264 in here. We're going to be streaming a lot more, especially because everyone seems to hate the Leafs, and we're all kind of together now in the same. We love the team. We hate the current position that we're in. I should clarify. Yep. And the game is going to... So we'll wrap up soon because the Boston game is starting in 5-ish minutes, I believe, Darius.
Well, puck drop is never when they say it is. So it's probably like 15 or 20 minutes from now. Classic. But it's true. Nobody hates... It's funny. Like, I love the saying where it's like nobody hates the Leafs more than Leafs fans. And it's not... It's true in a way. Like, I just hate the position they're in. And I think that they put themselves in this position with poor decisions. Like, they did put themselves in this spot. Like, we saw it after last year. Oh, the problem is still the same problem we've always had. Let's move on because it's easy to do it now. Nope, let's fire the GM. And then the new GM's got to get hired. And the new GM has no idea what's going on. You can't make any decisions. And your new movement clause kicks in. And now we can't do anything. Let's run it back. Same result. Hey, guys, let's run it back again.
Yeah, and we'll know on Friday if... I wonder what happens Friday. It's either going to be the most anticlimactic thing of all time, or it's going to be Keefe is gone, Shanahan's moved to some other position, Craig Bruba's hired, and then it's all just craziness. And then it's just craziness for like 24 hours. Nyes was a leader for the Leafs in the playoffs. Nobody else wants to take the reins, so it might as well be him. Yeah, I won't miss hearing Tavares. I think Tavares comes back. I think he comes back on a team. I mean, not really team friendly at this point, but just maybe probably a team friendly deal.
I saw this argument that the Leafs owe him like a legacy deal after or something. Like he needs to come back. First of all, if he wants like $8 million, you're not coming back. You're just not. Just don't re-sign him. But if he wants to take like a great team friendly deal and retire as a Maple Leaf and you can help our team as a third line center, then yeah, obviously bring him back for sure because he's still very useful.
It seems like he wants to stay,
and it seems like he'll want to stay. Yeah, so I feel like it's going to go that route more than like whatever everyone's talking about, like these legacy deals where he deserves something. No, man. Yeah, you're the captain of the team. What did you guys accomplish? Come on, man. What's going on?
I'm saying a couple people. I really think so. Nikita Zadorov. I really think Nikita Zadorov is going to be a Leaf under Shaliving. Zadorov would be an amazing ad. I thought we were all convinced a few months ago, deadline.
That was happening
in February, whenever it was, that he was going to be. When that was a while ago now. It would have been maybe December. And it would have been Nikita Zadorov. We thought he was a Leaf after he beat the Leafs, or I don't remember if they won or lost, but way back when. Those were good times. He would have been good. I mean, Chris Tanev would have been good too, but he went to the Stars after. It's because of Dubas's love for giving up second-round picks. So, I mean...
Dubas, it's funny. He built a really good team, but I feel like we all knew that no matter who you surrounded the core four with, like it just still wasn't going to get done. So he did waste like a bunch of assets in that way. And then obviously you couldn't get Zadorov. But you can get him this off-summer, right? Or off-season in the summer. So we'll see.
It's off-summer.
Off-season's going to be good. It's off-summer, that's right.
That's what it feels like. Hopefully they don't take the summer off. That would be devastating. The mob demands actions, not BS. I look at E-Town Star. Yeah, whoever wins the Avs Star Series will win the Stanley Cup. It's very possible. The Avs look good. Smoke the Jets. I know Tavares wants to stay at home in Toronto. The team can't afford to carry an overpriced Tavares. Like Tavares, 3 years, $6 million each. Would you do that?
Less. No, I'm being serious. He's a third line center at this point.
Yeah.
He can't play higher in the lineup because then they're gonna have to allocate that money. I know you're laughing, but it's true. Like you can't. You have to allocate that money to find a second line center again now, right? And they got to retool the team. The whole problem with Tavares' contract, and I've said this in a previous video, they should have won the cup by now. That's why it looks so bad because you're like, oh my God, he's getting older and like we have to move off this contract and we need money to get a second line center. The reason we're thinking this way is because we still haven't made it past the second round. They should have won a cup by now. That was the expectation when they signed him. Okay, in 3 years from now, we're going to win a Stanley Cup. And they didn't.
They didn't come close. Tavares isn't getting good money from any team. He'll take $3 to $5 million AAV to retire a Leaf and hopefully a cup. Yeah, I mean, that's very likely. Maybe $4 million.
That's what I'm thinking he does. I don't think he wants to leave. I think he wants to retire here and he'll be like, okay, if I have to sign here for $3-4 million, then let's do it, right? And I think the Leafs will be like, great,
maybe 5.
We'll see.
Johnny T
is a useful player,
but he's still worth cap. He's definitely still worth the cap space. It's just again, if it starts to get into the question of millions, like 6, 7. I mean, he's not getting 8. I don't know if any team's going to give him 8. Third line center. He still puts up 25 goals, 60 points. Veteran leadership.
Although speaking of leadership, I'm not saying he's a bad captain, but I feel like especially with a new coach coming in, let's say Keith does get fired, I feel like they're going to the whole captaincy structure, that's going to change. I feel like
give Matthew Nyes the C.
Might as well get ahead of it, right? Our new captain, Matthew Nyes.
This isn't least related. What are your thoughts on Pierre-Luc Dubois taking Celebrini's spot on Team Canada?
Age. I think it has to do with age.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Experience. But I mean, Celebrini will get his shot. Whatever team he makes next year, which is probably the Sharks, he'll probably end up playing at the Worlds. He's not going to make the playoffs.
Bobby McMahon. Name is not coming up much. I like him. Yeah, he was obviously didn't play in the playoffs, battle injury, but he was great during the regular season.
He was great.
He's going to be good.
He was great.
Exactly. Captain Nyes. Yeah, let's just do it now. Let's just do it now. I mean, we saw Matthew slide into that third center spot in the in Game 7. I still can't believe that Game 7 felt so weird. You had Matthews as the third line center. You had it was so interesting.
I think it was that was just a weird experience. But I think if you're asking me, which nobody is, but I'll give my opinion anyway. But with a new coach coming in, I think you have to redo the captaincy structure. Matthews gets the C. It's his team. It just is. And then with the A's, like
Willie
for sure. I think you look at Nyes because what he did against Brad Marchand. I know he's young, but like
someone said Jake McCabe.
I was about to say Jake McCabe. 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Simon Benoit.
The Milkman or whatever is that what they're calling him? Something like that?
So,
I can't remember.
something like that.
Milkman, something like that.
Only reason I asked is Jose Labrini had a spot that PLD came and snatched it after the awful season he had. Yeah, PLD was brutal.
I'm telling you, it's just the age and experience that's really it has to be
Celebrini's yet to play in, and I mean he's going to be a Shark. He's going to play next year, but he's yet to play in an NHL game. And I mean Dubois, albeit had a horrible year, sometimes looks disinterested, but he was okay. Yeah, no, Nas definitely is not ready for the C. Maybe in 3 or 4. I mean, I don't. It depends really, because Matthews going to hold the C for we assume the foreseeable future.
This is Austin Matthews' team. It is, and it has been for a while. I understand why they gave Tavares the C, and it made sense at the time. But I think you have to pull a Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski type thing, or was it Pavelski? No, maybe it was. I can't remember. Anyway, you have to pull a San Jose Sharks, and you have to pull the C off of him and give it to the guy whose team it is, and it's Matthews. And honestly, I disagree with that comment that he's not captain material. He leads by example, man. He goes out there and he scores 70 goals, and he says, "Follow along, guys. Come do what I'm doing," right? So I think he is captain material, 100%.
Someone asked, does Reeves need to stay or go?
Stay. He's a big, he's a big piece of the team.
Ryan Reeves.
He's good. Yeah, Ryan Reeves. Yeah. That last year, the contract's going to be tough, but he stays next year for sure. I think he did more for the team than people realize.
Yeah. Labushkin.
Fighting still has a place in the game. It's going to go away soon, I think, but it still absolutely has a place.
Do we bring back Labushkin? Probably not.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I think the Leafs have so they shored up on a lot of depth, but what they did is they got a lot of third line defensemen, right, and just filled them in throughout the lineup. So Labushkin can come back, but I just worry now because you have like guys like Benoit and
I think sorry to interrupt you, Darius. Got us another super chat. I had to go. Hope you have a good night and hope you go live more. Yeah, Blake, we're ending now in a second. Anyway, we're going to be going live at least once a week for foreseeable future. At least once a week. So thank you so much for your support, Blake. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one. And shout out to everyone who was in here. And Darius, any final thoughts before we wrap up? Game's about to start. Anyone have any final questions? Hopefully you guys enjoyed the streams. Love the channel. Keep it good content. Thank you, Andy. Hopefully Edmondson comes back. Next stream we'll do probably pretty soon. We can get in discussions more. We'll probably have more clarity. Go over some trades, do a lot of different stuff. But any final thoughts before we wrap up from anybody?
Yeah. We'll see what happens Friday, guys. I mean, there's no real clarity yet. Hopefully the next stream we do, we'll have some clarity. That'll be nice. In terms of the Edmondson thing, I hope he comes back. It'd be great. But I don't know what to think. I really don't know. I don't have a read on anything one way or another. I keep flip-flopping where I'm like, this might happen. No, actually, they might stand pat. I don't know. It's getting a little concerning, Nick, but I guess we'll find out in 2 days. And we might even find out tomorrow. Like I said, if Keefe is not fired tomorrow, he's coming back next year.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
The goals are nice. Reeves the locker room guy. Go Edmonton. Keefe gone by Friday. Devin. Most likely, I would assume. We won't know. We will go live maybe that night if he gets fired, which could be tomorrow for all we know. We could be back tomorrow for a lot. Like, it depends. Playing things by air because things are so fluid right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs. What does the offseason free agent market look like? That matters. Yeah, we can go over all that in a future stream as well.
Brandon Montour is a free agent. There's a lot we can get into.
That would be expensive, but it definitely is possible. But that'll wrap it up, I think, Darius. I mean, very, very good stream. Probably the best one we've had. Definitely the best one we've had. And we're going to, we'll be going live every single week. Can't wait for Friday. Great show. Take it easy. Craig, take it easy. Thank you so much. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. Another video for you guys tomorrow early. So, it's already
we might have something on Keefe, depending if that happens as well. So,
so stay tuned for tomorrow. Video early. I think 9 Eastern I have it in for. So, if you want to be ahead of the game, 9 Eastern tomorrow, you got a nice video for you. And then we'll hold out throughout the day and hold the line to see if Keefe gets fired. But thank you guys for watching. Everyone have a great night. Enjoy both the hockey games. The Canadian battle is going to be fun at, I think, 10 Eastern or something crazy like that. It'll be a late one. But everyone take it easy. And we'll see you very, very soon. Video tomorrow. Probably